for some odd reason, whenever I start streaming, this OBS decides to be like, you know what? I don't want to put the default settings that I keep on using every single week I stream. But that's okay.
It just changes.
That's okay. And I totally forgot to turn off the chat so that people don't watch our chat in the side. No, look, now we're all here. It's all good.
Yeah.
You know, it would be one day this will be a real show.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be a real boy.
27% on battery life on phone.
Oh yeah, it's fine. But that's okay because it's been 3 years since Peacemaker first exploded onto our screens with dancing eagles and daddy issues, and somehow James Gunn has managed to top it. That's right, Peacemaker Season 2 premiered on August 21st, 2025, making not just the return of everyone's favorite morally confused antihero, but also a darker, heavier step into Gunn's brand new DC universe. Chris Smith is back with the 11th Street Kids, and standing across from him is a ghost from the past, Rick Flag Sr., a man driven by grief, revenge, and control. Yep, we're diving deep into all of that tonight. The big themes, the insane action, and that emotional gut punch of an ending. Joining me is Hawk. And we're going to break down the season, unpack on how it connects to Creature Commandos, Superman, that whole DC universe that has started just, a couple months ago. Oh, no, I don't remember when Creature Commandos came out. I think that was like earlier this year, yeah?
I'm thinking so. I haven't actually seen it yet. I've been looking for a platform for it.
Oh, I know a platform that you could probably find it on.
Yeah, there's a really good one.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And we'll find out if Peacemaker can ever truly find redemption. So grab your helmets, cue the hair metal, and let's get weird with Geeks with Kids. Our Peacemaker, spoiler discussion. We're going to actually start without, spoilers, just because it still says Australia versus the world. Why? Is this on Twitch or Discord? Why does it keep doing this?
I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna ask you. Oh, what was your if you could give season 2 a what's it called? A
number rating, maybe?
A one word or one sentence summary. What would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. A 1 to 2 word summary.
Yeah, man.
I'd say character driven.
I like it. I think. What would I do? What would I say for this? And I could have swore I was a moderator on this channel. I think I would say it would be trust. Because,
Oh yeah, trust is a big issue in this one.
Chris doesn't trust himself.
Nope.
None of the 11th Street Kids trust themselves. And I think that's just sort of what they had to deal with as they went through. All right, so did the season live up to your expectations after watching season 1?
For me, I think there was a point halfway through it where I was questioning it. Like, like I said, this is a way more character-driven season, right? Instead of, there is no actual mission on point, like there was in the first one, that carried us through, like, the introduction and development of those characters that we met in season 1. This one focuses very much squarely on the, where they're at in their lives post season 1. They're all in disarray. They're kind of separated. They're not happy with their jobs. Their relationships are suffering quite a bit. I didn't expect it to take the turn it did. There was no kind of a big bad this season for them to take out, and even big bad is kind of a morally questionable term because the butterflies, I don't know, sometimes I think the butterflies might have been right.
I mean, they might have made the world a little bit better.
Like, maybe. I don't know. But again, that doesn't mean to say this was a bad season. It just didn't go exactly where I was expecting it to go. But I loved it every step of the way. Did not love the shorter time spans of each episode.
Oh, that bothers me. Every time I see like a 30-minute episode, I'm like, why? Why are you 30 minutes? Come on. Are we not at this point where we want, like, I'd rather 2 episodes be like put into one. I mean, I know that certain episodes have certain like themes and whatnot. But
Sure.
seeing there's what was it? The second last episode was 34 minutes, and I was like, why?
Yeah. The penultimate one's 34 minutes.
And I was like, why? Why did this end so fast? Anyway, that's okay.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I really like this season. I think it introduced a lot of things into the DCU that I'm looking forward to. Like, I love Checkmate, and I love everything that they've done. This is the non-spoiler part. I won't spoil that part, but they're introducing a lot of things, and they're weaving together things that are really good. I like that James Gunn has said that there's no reason people should go into a movie and not understand what's happening because they didn't see a TV series or something else. So I like that they're introducing things here, and that if you want to see it, you can, and it'll add a little bit of sugar to the next thing, the next big thing that comes out, but you don't have to. Like, we can go into the next movie and find out that there's a new prison for metahumans. Like, it doesn't have you didn't have to watch this. Like, but it's just better to see it. I wish you had seen Creature Commandos just to see how Rick Flag Sr. was in that, because that happens before Superman and before Peacemaker. No, just after Peacemaker sees Suicide Squad. It happens after the Suicide Squad, which is canon, sort of. So,
but you bring up a great point with this new direction in the evolution of this new DCU, and that is that the film universe and the TV universe, while the film universe still kind of remains on its own, it's it's a compact space that the average watcher can go and see the movie, but they're also not afraid to let direct implications from those movies happen in their TV shows. Marvel always tried to keep their universes separate when they were doing it was the same universe and that, but completely isolated the story outside of any heroes or villains and that already established in movies showing up. In this, they're just letting everything drop. It's like I could not believe it when I saw that cameo season in episode 6. I believe it was. Yeah.
It's a big cameo, and by a big actor, which we won't spoil until we get later. But I like that these people are James Gunn. I remember seeing an interview with one of the actors. It might have been John Cena, who said it's such a family feeling on set that if James Gunn is like, "Hey, do you want to do something short?" and you're just like, "Yeah, I will jump to it." That's how John Cena actually got into Superman, is because James Gunn was like, "Hey, do you want to maybe do a cameo?" And he's like, "Yes, I will clear everything I'm doing and just do this for you." And that's awesome. Like, he creates such a good thing, and you could tell like the cast is just having a blast. Like, they're having fun doing their movies. Like, why wouldn't you? I want to do one of those movies. Bring us on, James Gunn. He's actually doing a watch along for the finale right now on Threads. So that's funny. Yeah. So we had seen Superman this summer. Yeah, it's a PG movie. Yes. It's pretty light. It's Superman. Superman's a light hero. He brings lots of hope. He's the light in the darkness as opposed to Batman. I keep on saying this. Sure. Like, it's been years. I think Justice League, when we first talked about that, I was like, why is Superman not like this? But I always say the opposite of those. So we had this very light and not happy, but hopeful movie in Superman. It's a PG movie. Then you get into Peacemaker, which is definitely still rated R. Were you surprised at how dark this season got? Especially after coming off of Superman?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody was kind of expecting that, because that's the kind of, that's a diversity of James Gunn. It's like he knows the target audience he's shooting for, and that, like with Superman, he knows that's a PG-13 crowd, and that he wants those kids there in the scene to, experience that universe. But when it comes to the other material, the darker half of it, and that he doesn't hold back, is still. I mean, come on, like Chris Smith and that drowning his sorrows in an orgy this season.
Yep.
In his house.
Yeah. I think that was in like the first or second episode, wasn't it? No, first episode.
I think it's probably somewhere in between. I think there was kind of a carryover in that.
I think it was episode 1 when the orgy actually happened.
You had the party itself and then the morning after.
Yeah, because the first episode is when you find out about the alternate Earth. which we
Hmm.
will refer to later. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I like it's funny because I watched Creature Commandos, totally forgot it was rated R. Because there's a lot that happens. Like Dr. Phosphorus like melts people. He's a radioactive skeleton man, voiced
Yes.
by Alan Tudyk, right? And so he can melt people and stuff. And it's funny because you get there and you get back to Superman. And you're like, oh yeah, but it's live action. And we get back to live action Peacemaker. And you're like, oh yeah, Peacemaker season 1 was super dark too, or super
Oh
violent.
my God, yes. And
Um,
yet, and yet, it wrapped all that darkness into this insane sense of humor.
yeah,
You know, the whole thing of the when he went into the butterfly factory
hmm
with the X-ray vision glasses on. I don't know if I've laughed harder at a scene in recent years. You know, it just hits you out of nowhere, and then it just accelerates. It has this wonderful callback to the invasion of the body snatchers at
Oh
one
my
point.
God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was a riot.
You could totally
Uh,
tell the James Gunn influences. Like he loves like paying homages to things. Um, so this season also had a small other controversy other than the PG one, but a much smaller one because it was mostly for fans of Peacemaker. So in season 1, we got Wigwam's "Do You Want to Taste It" as the theme song, and then season
yes.
2, the theme song starts, and you're like, wait a minute, this
Yeah.
isn't Wigwam. It's
Nope.
Oxy Shazam's "Oh Lord." What did you think about the theme songs change?
Honestly, I was thrown at the beginning. I think I don't interact with social media a lot, but I kind of threw it out like that the dance sequence itself was great, but it's like I missed the song. I missed do you really want to do you really want to taste it?
Yeah.
It just became emblematic of the show in that, but you forget, this is like, this is Peacemaker. Peacemaker has a very, and James Gunn both have a very kind of extensive, love of music and, record collections. And yeah, the fact that it did change, it was shocking. But I found that it had the same effect as the dance sequence last year in that, it's like, by episode 3 and 4, you're home right along and you come to expect it. And it was important, one, because I think all those new cast members coming to the show, and that probably were like, we got to be able to do the dance sequence, a new dance sequence, something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They wanted to be in that because it became so iconic.
Who wouldn't, right?
Right. And so it naturally goes to, that it needed its own theme this year.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the series, I was humming right along with the song.
I love that
It's great, grandiose glam rock,
Oh my
sleaze
God.
rock, whatever. And that he defined the genre in it. I can't remember. I think it was like
it's sleaze rock, right? I think
sleaze rock. Yes.
I mean that it's so well done. I love, and it really speaks to the story of Chris Smith. Like throughout it, like he's had like actually all of them, the 11th Street Kids, everyone, even Rick Flag Sr. You could tell like it's been rough years. Like that's what the song is about. It's about having a tough time and trying to keep on going on. And the dance, brilliantly choreographed by, I wish I wrote down who it was, but it was brilliantly done. I love that it sprinkles the story of the season throughout the whole thing. Like it's incredibly well done. I love my favorite thing, and I've said this since the first episode, is if you watch Frank Grillo dancing, he's just having the best time of his life. At the end when they're piling on each other, he's giggling. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be like exhausted, and he's just sitting there like, I love this. I love this so much.
I read somewhere that he was super nervous about going into it. I think that was probably the only apprehension he had, was going into it to do the dance sequence, because he thought he was just going to screw it up.
I mean, he did great. They all did. And the additional cast this year has been phenomenal. Everyone knew Sacha Bordeaux, some cameos from Superman that show up later. There's maybe an eagle hunter that was added this year that was phenomenal.
Oh my God.
Phenomenally insane. Yeah. We'll get to that later. So let's talk about the setup. So this season starts off in a sort of very surprising way. They not very surprising, but slightly surprising. They do a recap of season 1. It's been 3 years. People may have forgotten. But as you're watching this recap, you notice a slight slight things have been changed, just slightly, so that you could put it in line with the new DCU. So when season 1 came out, it was still the DCEU, that's the Zack Snyder universe. So they, integrated that Justice League. They had the Flash and Aquaman at the end of the season 1 finale. But you watch this one and they're showing that scene, you're like, hey, that's a different silhouette. There's Mr. Terrific, Superman, Supergirl, and we get to meet Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. What do you think of this DCU reboot setup and how they did it just in this quick little 2-3 minutes intro?
It was such a bold statement, right? Because I know like it's going to drive a lot of people nuts in that, to retcon it like so directly like that. But, it's a new dawn. It's a new era in that, so it's like he had every right to do it, and it was his own work. He was retconning in that. So, I kind of applauded it, and they did, and he kept it funny, with Guy Gardner. I can't remember what was the line he said in that. After Peacemaker walks by and says, thanks for showing up, dicks.
Oh,
Guy Gardner.
He likes butt stuff or something like that.
Green
Lantern,
right.
It's something like that. I'm not into butt stuff. It was so funny.
He's the one spreading all those rumors.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It was such a bold, like you were saying, it's a bold statement. I like that James Gunn is not afraid to change things to suit the new vision. And I think he said it in a recent interview that there are characters that might have to get recast, and that's fine because people are going to be fine with seeing a character on screen and be like, oh, it's a different actor, whatever. That's the
to get real with it, by 2021 the Snyderverse was pretty much done. We had kind of weak offerings and that kind of came out after, and that it's like the Flash was originally supposed to be hopefully the thing that kind of rebolstered everything, but look how that turned out.
Nope.
It was already a crumbling empire in that, Warner Brothers had to do something in that, and unfortunately when it got that bad, the best thing to do was a complete reboot, new leadership, new guidance and that, and their choice in James Gunn was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Marvel kind of wasted him. They first off, they pretty much almost canceled him after firing from Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And then rehiring him, DC was smart to establish that relationship. After that fell apart for him, and that, offering him to do his own Suicide Squad. It just goes to show. I mean, that universe, that Snyder had built, very briefly had crumbled, and that, they recognized in Gunn somebody who could do something, visionary. He had the chops for it. He had the insane background knowledge and that, and the love for the genre that he was doing, and it's a weird relationship. I mean, he's the Feige, and he's also the guy behind the camera and the pen. It's insane.
Yeah. He also has a partner that's helping him do it, so he's not just doing it alone, but he is really directing. He is the Feige of this universe. I'm fine. I'm fine with whatever he does. He has a love for the age of comic books that I did, like 80s and 90s. That's when I was reading DC comics. I don't want to see an electric Superman. Lord help me if I get to see an electric blue and red Superman. I don't want it. But I like the things that he's introducing are things that have become core of the DC comic book universe. So he gets the flavor, he gets the feeling, this feels like the golden age of comics, like when everything was happy and hopeful and stories meant something, like they led to something. I like that he's not afraid to introduce things in different mediums that, will help the bigger story moving forward. But it's also not isolating the viewers, right? Like people who maybe are just watching Creature Commandos aren't going to be, lost if they didn't see Superman or Peacemaker. That's such a smart, and he learned that from working at Marvel. He saw that it was so confusing having to, juggle every single movie. That's also why at the end of Superman, he didn't want the post credits to be so integral to the next movie. He wanted it just to be a little footnote on this adventure that you had gone through. And I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. he's smashing a lot of genres in that, and it was always, that was always what was needed in that. If if this was going to work, um, you know, trying to follow Marvel's template, is just like it's just such a bad strategy, right? So the way he's doing this is very smart. Early on, disseminating media through not just the movies and that, but mainly through television and that, and through animation.
Yeah.
It's like he recognizes that all three are important, like vital parts of story of building this whole universe and doing it in very timely fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not wasting any time, which is incredible.
And he's trusting writers and directors to do what they do best. He's not just making them do it. He's not afraid to pause a project if it's not, working out well. Like there's been a couple of things that should have been out like by next year, and he's like, you know what? We're not there with the script yet. We'll just move it back. It's fine. We'll just keep going.
Mhm.
He knows what the main things need to be, and that's fine. Like I assume we're gonna get a Justice League movie eventually. Will we have to watch everything beforehand? Probably not, but it'll probably make it better.
Yeah. I imagine that there's some grand plan for that, but hopefully, I think he's kind of smartly kind of keeping it down the road a couple of years and that,
Yeah, for sure.
Focusing like on Superman and like the whole super family and that is really smart. I mean, like we're getting what Man of Tomorrow next year,
2 years. Because
2 years
next
from now.
next year is Supergirl, and then
Okay, so Supergirl is next year. Like it's. God, I don't want to just go on praising it, but I mean, like it is pretty brilliant. I mean, like the fact that he has really like divested this much time and effort into this, like and trusting writers, as you said, which was also another problem of Marvel's and that.
Yeah.
If you ever had an auteur come on to set and that, it's like they hated it and then would eventually quit.
This is why Eternals did not turn out the way it should have, probably, right?
No.
I would love to see Zoe Chow, right? That was the director of
Chloe
Zhao. I would love to see what she would do in the DC universe. That would be brilliant. Oh my god. Could you imagine an art house piece set in the DC?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, DC was never afraid of that, like Joker.
Yeah. I think there's
first one.
Yeah. I think there's also something to be said about starting the new DC universe with a cartoon. Like Creature Commandos was the first official first fully official
Gunverse
project, right? That's crazy to make it a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like that's great. That's what an insane and awesome man. Right? I know it sounds like we're just gushing over him, and it probably sounds like what Snyder bros do, but he's much better.
He just gets it.
He understands, he loves it, and I love it. He was so apprehensive of doing Superman because he didn't want to do Superman injustice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he found his and he nailed it. Oh my god, I love that movie. The movie that saved my home theater setup from looking badly. Well, that's a story for another time. So let's I'm gonna do a quick like recap of what the season
Sure.
Season 2 was. I'm not gonna go into every episode because that would take for fucking ever, and we don't want to.
Yeah.
We're tired. We're old. Yeah. So spoilers. Now this is where we're starting. We're starting with spoilers. In 3, 2, 1. You counted up. I counted down. So so season 2 picks up 2 years after events of season 1 and 6 months after the events of Superman. Peacemaker is still trying to find his place in the world. He's sort of still dealing with the effects of killing Rick Flag Jr. and all the chaos
killing
of
his dad,
killing his dad, and all of that. So he's trying to find his place in the world, and he wants to be a hero. So he applies to the Justice Gang, who obviously did not keep him. Then throughout the course of this episode, he's also on the outs with the 11th Street Gang. They're sort of all over the place. They don't know where they're headed. They're sort of divided. Some people are working for Argus. Some people are trying to find like Hardcore can't even get a job because she's been blacklisted by Waller.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, which was an amazing. Jennifer Holland is a gem and just perfect on the show. It's crazy. Like this little cameo appearance has turned into this amazing character. So Chris and Harcourt also had this sort of relationship. We don't really know what happened at the beginning. Something had happened on a boat. They keep mentioning it, but she keeps blowing him off, and he sort of goes off the deep end. Has an orgy of sorts to deal with his feelings, and gets so drunk that he goes into the QUC, which is the quantum unfolding chamber. Oh god, I forgot what it was. I just wrote QUC.
Oh man, I can't remember.
Oh, we'll figure it out later. And he goes in the QUC, which he goes, this is that interdimensional door that we saw last season that his dad had created. That's where he got the helmets. So he goes in there, finds another door that looks like his, uses the passcode, goes in and sees this alternate reality where everything is amazing. Him and his dad are like heroes that are praised. And not only that, his older brother Keith is alive. So as he's, reveling in this, he's just sort of exploring the house. And at the end of the episode, he gets caught by this Earth's Peacemaker. And a fight ensues in the QC, and our Chris ends up killing him by accident. Chaos happens after that. Wait, Yeah, no, that's okay. So then the next episode, we see Vigilante and him sort of disposing of the body, and that obviously takes its toll on a person. Adebayo is also having relationship issues with her now ex because she's trying to start a security company. And then tensions escalate because Argus is monitoring Chris without Chris knowing. What's his name? Oh my god, I can't. Why did I not write down everyone's?
Which one?
Who's the dude? The main dude, the funny dude with the glasses.
Economos.
Economos is working for Argus. He's part of the team that is monitoring Chris, but he's also joined by a new agent, Agent Flurry, played brilliantly by Tim Meadows, who has bird blindness. So they're monitoring Chris, and every time he uses the door, there's a sort of a blip on the radar, and they're like, "That's weird." Yeah. So, what we find out is that Rick Flag Sr., the father of Rick Flag Jr., who died in the Suicide Squad to Peacemaker, is now the head of Argus. We last saw him in Superman, and he was he was the Department of Defense. He was working in the department. He was the chief of the Department of Defense. He has now been upgraded to the chief of Argus. And we find out later on that he sort of positioned himself that way so that he could find out what happened to his son. It had been a classified mission because it's Argus, so he didn't have access to it. So he positioned himself that way to move and find out what he did. And all of this is leading to him trying to, get his revenge on Chris. So Argus and their team decide to raid Chris's house. Chris takes the little black box that created the QC and, fucks off into the woods to make a door there. I forgot to mention that Argus also has a new agent called Sasha Bordeaux, who's very important to the DC universe, and especially to Checkmate, which we will meet later. So she's a cyborg that's working with Argus and sort of, the side piece to Rick Flag Sr. I hate saying that. That made me throw up a little in my mouth. Because she's way more than that.
I know.
Yes, so he steals the QC, goes in hiding, and Harcourt is tempted to betray or cooperate with Flag Sr. I wrote a summary earlier. So Chris obviously wants to know if Harcourt, their relationship meant anything. So they decide to meet up, and obviously Harcourt tries to warn him not to go because it's a trap. It's a trap. And Argus, goes in for the kill. Harcourt saves him. They arrest him. He escapes, and he ends up. No, he doesn't escape. Adebayo gets about, and he just decides, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm gonna live on Earth X. That's what we're deeming the second Earth, because he finds this world very, very perfect. So he goes there.
He just seems to fit in like a glove in that,
Yeah.
Harcourt is interested in him.
Everyone loves
his brother's
him.
alive. His father loves him.
Yeah.
shows him affection like he's never had before. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And he kind of proves his value in this new Earth. When a terrorist attack on a local campus and that
Yep.
is thwarted by him.
Yeah. The Sons of Liberty are attacking
Yes.
this. I thought it was a bank. Was it not a bank?
I
Somewhere.
don't. It was some sort of building. I can't
Some
remember what it
building
was.
that
And
they
I
were.
thought it was some sort of like university or facility or
It could have
something.
been. So
Yeah.
so basically they're like he's like a celebrity in this new area. Like it's amazing. He's obviously super happy. The people he loves love him back. All his troubles are gone. Just like Hakuna Matata and whatnot. So
Right.
the 11th Street Gang decides to jump in and try and save him or bring him back, like bring him to his senses. So they go over, and something is just a little bit off with this world. Harcourt ends up meeting up with Chris at Argus, and she's like, "Haven't you noticed something's weird here? There are no people of color in this world." And he's like, "What? There are copies of Mein Kampf on every table, and there's a giant mural."
Oh my god! Like the reveal of that, and like his answers for not knowing, like the Mein Kampf book and that. He's like, "Do you think I got this Bronny looking at books?" He's like, "What about the big mural of Adolf Hitler?" And then, fuck, how did I miss that?
It was so good. Oh my god.
No, but that's the thing. It was rose-colored glasses. At that point, he just wanted to see, like, what he wanted to see.
Exactly.
And it was like, yeah.
So obviously this is not good for Judo Master or Adebayo. So shit happens. They go back. They get captured by his dad and by his brother, and through some unshittiness, we find out that his dad has been fighting against the system, but he can't because he's part of the cog, right? He can't undo the evils in his world. And we find out that he's a really good guy, which is crazy. Just after,
Well, just when you think you had it figured out, like with him, it's like, it's like his dad is, at peace in this world because it reflects his values,
But it's not
right?
that. It's not. That's crazy.
No, it's not that at all. In that, it's like in this, he's actually a decent man. In that, he hates the system that he lives in, and that. But as he says, I can't change that. All I can do is fight the monsters and the madmen that are in front of me at this point.
Yeah. And then he gets stabbed in the head by Vigilante.
Yes.
In one of those brutal moments. And as they're escaping, the FBI or Argus is trying to capture them. There's a big fight in their house, and Keith almost ends up dying. And that just breaks Chris. Having seen his father just die, who he just found out is a good man and actually loved him. And then seeing his brother almost die again, like he comes to this realization, personal realization, because his friends don't see this, is that he brings death to everyone that he loves around him. And as they get back, Argus surrounds them, and he gives himself up. He gives off the little black box to Rick Flake Sr., and he says that it was all my plan to do all of this. And all these guys, they told me to give myself up and give this to you and, make them heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, such a brutal ending to the second last episode. The 34-minute second last episode. I'm not going to get over that. So
they packed a lot in, but I mean, like, you shouldn't get over that.
So the last episode, we see the 11th Street Gang trying to convince Chris to not just disappear.
Not give up.
Yeah. Adebayo had such an amazing speech to him. Like, she realizes that. Also, she had a really good talk with Judo Master, which I did not expect, where Judo Master made her realize that she was the issue in the relationship between her and her wife. Oh, the character drivenness of this series is astounding. So Adebayo lets Chris know that he's a good person, and the reason why people die is because he doesn't trust himself. He listens to other people. He should trust his instincts because he's morally good, generally, and he knows what's right for people. And every one of the 11th Street Gang, sort of comes in, like reaffirms this. Like they all sort of get to this point where they realize that they're better off trusting their own instincts than listening to the man. And that's sort of the one of the main themes of this season, right? Not just
Yes.
following orders just to follow orders is bad. I don't know if that's relevant in today's world. um, so the 11th Street Gang, they all leave their respective jobs. You know what? I'm going to go back, rewind a little bit, because now that the Argus has the black box, they have opened up an interdimensional portal, and they're going through the QUC, opening all the individual doors to see what's on the other side of these doors. And they're sort of using the Argus agents as fodder, right? Because we don't know what each door opens.
There's
the Candyland.
That was the reason. Yep. Candyland. That one place with the walking flaming skulls.
Which it might be a connection to Creature Commandos, which I don't want to spoil for you because it's a vision.
That's okay. Like, honestly, like, you think you're spoiling me on some of this stuff, but like, it's like, when I went, because I ended up watching the first episode of Peacemaker before I got to see Superman.
You
know?
Oh, yeah.
So I knew the connection from there. Even still, once I actually got to Superman, and that it doesn't even.
So there's a vision by the villain of Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, of this world where like everyone is dead and there's all of this, like it looked like that world. So it's possible that is a possible alternate Earth where that happened. So it's cool that they're not sprinkling little shit in that people watch from previous seasons or previous projects. James Gunn, dang. The Candyland thing we said with the flesh-eating imps. There's a black hole door that looks like the black hole that Ultraman fell through in Superman. And Lex says, "This looks promising," right, with the note.
Yeah.
So cool. But they also find this one planet that has all the readings of Class M planet, as Star Trek fans would say. And they go in there and they see like that it's just a beautiful planet. Nature, nothing. Rick Flag likes this, and he goes to the government, which we had seen in episode in Superman. And
yes, we saw them in Superman. I think we saw them maybe around the beginning of the season somewhere.
Did they? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So he calls this planet Salvation, which is going to end up being a prison planet for metahumans or villains that they can't control. Because as Rick Flag Sr. had said during this meeting, there are escapes from prisons almost all the time. I think he said that there was 3 in the last month from one of the super prisons, Belle Reve, and that's not even mentioning Arkham that they slightly mentioned earlier in the season as well. So
I know. It's like it's so funny because this is exactly the whole pattern he had last season with the old man. It's like about Batman, and he's like, I don't have an enemies list.
Yeah,
because they're all 6 feet under the ground. And that Batman is a clown. He beats up people in that. He puts them in prison. They escape and they murder more people.
It's true. I think Batman has a talk with the Joker about this in Killing Joke, right? Doesn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, well done. So Salvation is a planet that they're going to just start shipping off villains, which is sort of what I think Lex Luthor was sort of coming to that.
That was pretty much the program, right? Yeah. Except with his, it was a private prison for all his, the people he wanted to disappear. Not actual threats. This is the first time, the American government is considering using this technology and that to imprison people onto a place they could never escape from, and that because that doorway is never going to be in the same place twice.
Yeah, that's what they said. I wonder. Now that we've talked about this, we'll talk about it now. Was Lex Luthor sort of positioning this behind the scenes? Because he's been working with, we saw in episode 6, he starts working with Rick Flag Sr. Do you think it was his idea to go through these doors and find this planet? And sort of, I don't know if this is like a Rick Flag Sr. idea or if it's Lex Luthor sort of pulling the strings. And that's what he does. He's super smart, right? So he might have been the person who sort of had this idea. And Rick Flag Sr. had seen his prison in Superman. So
Yep.
I wonder if it's sort of Lex being like, you know what, it worked there, but this is way more stable. We should do it here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I get this is probably Lex's idea, and that Rick, but in regards to Rick Flag Sr. and that, I kind of detected something in that, because people were saying he did a complete heel turn in the last episode,
He's been turning for a while.
Instead of a man driven by revenge, he was, become Lex Luthor's, biatch and that, and carrying out pet projects. No, he learned something. Remember when he had Chris in custody and that, and he was killing him, and Chris wouldn't fight back. Chris wanted it, right?
Yeah.
Now, Rick Flag Sr. has been obsessed with revenge ever since finding out that Peacemaker was the one who killed his son on orders from Waller.
Yeah.
But he wants his revenge. But I think that encounter it showed him that, this guy is not afraid to die.
Yeah.
He kind of wants it, where he's at in life.
And
he wanted revenge.
He wanted punishment.
And I think Lex offered him an opportunity to punish him in a way that he could not do himself.
Yeah, and a way worse sentence than ever he could do.
Like the first one there.
Yeah. So we find out that salvation is a thing. But Sacha Bordeaux and Fleury both have watched their own friends, their fellow agents, become fodder. So they get disillusioned by this, and they end up leaving with the 11th Street Kids. And the 11th Street Kids take all the money from Vigilante's basement, who we find out earlier in the season had been not stealing. He's been repossessing drugs and money from all the people he's been killing, all the bad people he's been killing, and he's just sort of kept them in the basement because he didn't want to use it. It's blood money, as he said. But Adebayo convinces him to use it. Oh my God.
There's hundreds of millions of dollars in drugs and money in there.
Yeah. So they end up taking... sorry.
I said the whole bit where they opened up the doorway in his basements, and that blowback covered them all in that white powder.
I'm covered in cocaine. God damn it. And that's how Harker gets captured in Earth X because of all the drugs on her. So funny. Yep. Oh my God. So they end up leaving. They leave Argus with the 11th Street Kids, and they build their own private security company called Checkmate, which is an incredible nod to an organization in the DC Comics universe. Anyway, everyone's happy at the end. They're all walking in slow-mo. There's a nice little musical montage. Chris and Harcourt end up going to a concert of Foxy Shazam, right? Foxy Shazam?
Foxy Shazam, yeah.
They're playing the theme song. Everyone's happy. We cut to black, and we find out that as Chris is going into his apartment, he gets snatched up by Argus, and he gets left on the planet Salvation as retribution for killing Rick Flag Jr.
Yeah.
And then we end. That's the end of this season, and possibly the end of this series. If you listen to, we'll talk about this because I've thoughts on this. So, what did you think of this perfect life multiverse of Chris that he experienced as he goes? What did you think of that and how it sort of mirrored his guilt spiral? Right.
This one again, it was a very complex season. We didn't see a lot of the Peacemaker in this season. Mm-hmm. Like we did last season. And that we got Chris Smith, confronted with a version of his family and that he always wanted. Because we know in this Europe, he still never gave up on his father even until the last moment.
Yeah.
That's how badly he wanted family in this. The 11th Street Kids at the end, it's kind of coming together to say, we are your family now. Yeah. Through adversity, whatever, and that, we're there for you. And it's true, they're the only ones who stuck around for him. I think his guilt is not entirely misplaced. Some of it
Yeah.
is, but it's like he is still kind of a victim of circumstance and his own bad psychology.
Yeah.
That need for attention and need for love,
Approval.
and that has kind of
Yeah.
warped him as a peacemaker. And that now he's really this season was about him having to unmake all that stuff that he had made himself into.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a great job. The side characters' explorations of their own problems was great.
Yeah.
Harcourt, the spiral she was going through.
Yeah.
The revelation regarding Harcourt and Rick Flag Jr.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How they had been an item and friends.
And added such a layer to it. I mean, I guess this is new information that was introduced this season because I don't remember anything about Harcourt and Flick Flag Jr., but
no, not at all.
It really throws that monkey wrench into the relationship between her and Chris.
Yeah.
Right? That Chris was the one who murdered her, her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And as close as they got last season, and that it's still that big wedge between them, and why this version of Harcourt would never be with them, and why the version of Harcourt on Earth X became much more attractive to him, and that someone they don't have that complication there. Yeah,
and she really just needed to trust herself and forgive herself for moving on, and Chris wasn't a bad guy. He was a bad guy then. He was just a cog, but she realizes that she's also just a cog in the machine, which they all sort of do. I think the season also fully cemented Adebayo as the moral heart of this group. What did you think of her storyline in this season?
It was great. I mean, she was that kind of plucky, the one in last season, kind of the one we experienced the story through, and that she was kind of closer to us as the audience member, in comparison with the rest of these crazy people that we were introduced to. Her storyline was, a nice evolution, her trying to go out on her own. The fractures that were in her relationship with, I'm trying to remember her name. Was it Key or Lee?
I think it's Key.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking that there is a fix for that. It was she was kind of mirroring Chris in that way, and in the hopes that it's trying to that maybe once she got on her feet, that can make this relationship work again.
Mm-hmm.
But then coming to the hard realization at the end, that this life, it called to her.
Yeah.
She was, Adebayo was really good at her job. Even last season, as she was kind of the rookie of all of it, and that she was still, as we found out, this is what she was trained to do. And this life is calling to her.
Yeah.
And she realizes that if you're still in my life, and that I'm going to bring all this craziness back upon you.
Yeah.
It's not going to work, and she realizes that, and they both realize that at that moment. That was a heartbreaking, breakup.
It doesn't matter that their lives are headed separate ways. They can still love each other, but they know they're bad for each other. And it's so heartbreaking. It's Kia, Leah's Adebayo, remember Leota?
Right.
Yeah. So such a good, well acted scene. I was dying when they were breaking up. Because you could see that they could be happy being pet shop owners, but it would kill Adebayo inside just because she knows that there's something more.
Yeah. She's not doing what it is she's supposed to be doing.
Brutal. Also, it was Quantum Unfolding Chamber, QUC. I did write it down.
Oh, you got it right.
It was just for folding a little bit down. What do you think of this as the big sci-fi hook? There's a lot of theories online that this is the means that we're headed towards boom tubes and dark side.
Right.
What do you think of the QUC as the main thing?
It was such a side note last season. It's it was such a misdirect in regards to Augie Smith and that. Because it's as hateful and as anti. Intellectual as his philosophy of life was.
Yep.
How did he have this quantum unfolding chamber in that? He was the one who made all of Chris's gear in that. So it's oh my God, he's a genius racist. And then, with the revelation this season that he wasn't.
No, he just stole it.
And he murdered an alien to get it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Which makes me wonder how he got the helmet, how other Chris Smith got the helmet in Earth X.
I know. Like,
although that family seemed a lot smarter. So maybe they did actually just create it there.
I mean, maybe that's the constant with their universes, is that they do happen upon the quantum unfolding chamber in both universes. Maybe other universes where there's a Peacemaker, and that it might be one of those universal constants. Regardless, it was great. It was great that they kind of established that way back then, and then reintroduced it here.
Yeah.
And made it, kind of like a big focus of this season.
Yeah.
With all its weirdness and everything, and that, like the alien coming out to use the incinerator for the dead cats.
Were they dead?
That was just there.
Yeah.
And he was in the dance sequence.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
Nope.
Oh my god.
But to unfold that into establishing Earth X, which I thought like by the end was going to have be like the prime focus. Okay, yeah, Earth X is going to be like the villain this season, right? And then like showing that like no, like the big villain this season is the quantum unfolding chamber, and that in the hands of Argus.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, like when they started exploring, and the first stop was Candyland.
Brutal, just brutal.
Just the way they got through it, and that the guy's face was just gone by the time they got. But then, like the whole sequence is after, and that where agent after agent after agent is dying, and that in these things, and that while they're celebrating all the new discoveries and information that's coming their way.
All the higher ups are just like, we're doing great, and all the fodder
popping champagne and that, and people are just like
having Coke. God. Yep. It's interesting. But yeah,
it's interesting, and also I got a note, like like a lot of material that's been coming out over the last couple of years, and that in regards to the current administration over there. It's dead on. It becomes like a bit of a parable about ice, and that it's like it's.
What's crazy is that this started, like they filmed this before that started. So
I know, but apparently everybody saw it coming.
Well, history does seem to repeat itself, but some history shouldn't. This is one of those things that shouldn't be happening, and it is. What did we think about Vigilante's storyline this year? He's sort of always been that loyal friend to Chris, despite Chris maybe not wanting that friendship, and he's always been that funny, weird one as we go through. He also had my favorite moment of this season, which was, oh my god, when he met his doppelganger. Holy shit!
Are you fucking kidding me?
We're doing a Spider-Man meme. Hey.
I watched a great YouTube video today where a psychologist focused purely on Vigilante.
Oh my god, I want to see that.
Yeah, basically focusing on this, whether or not he was a sociopath, a psychopath, and that, and whether or not he was definitely on the the spectrum.
For sure,
which he definitely is. It's like that whole conversation with himself definitely like showed, okay, you are so on the spectrum, buddy. It's like, what's the worst thing in that? It's like, oh, human skin touching ours. Yeah. But and going down the list on sociopathy and that, there's little things in that. Obviously, people associate sociopathy with the violence that they're capable of and that, but no, and that, it's like she was saying, like, he is, he does things like that are basically meant to, self-sacrifice and protect others, and that's not a characteristic that's typical of sociopathy or psychopathy. Usually people are obstacles. In Adrian and Vigilante's case, and that, it's like he does those weird extreme things, and that, it's like just trying to help. He may misread information and cues and stuff like that, but always in that. He you find like he's really like has a moral center. You know, probably the most purest moral center of anybody on the show.
Almost, yeah, like a child. Like he's just too
exactly.
Yeah,
Remember, like you know, in last season when he got arrested to go to prison to try to kill Augie and that because you know he was a bad dad to Chris.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
yeah. So we also got introduced to two new characters, Sacha Bordeaux and Langston Fury. Flurry. What did you guys think? What did you think of this new addition to the crew?
Sacha Bordeaux, I think, is going to do big things in that. Langston Fleury, his introduction. Oh my god, it's like
he's the
is he a real character from the comics?
Not that I know of, not that I remember.
No, it seems like original creation, and I think it's just because it's like in James Gunn's mind, he's like, I really want to cast Tim Meadows in a role, you know.
And he's like the perfect complement to Vigilante, right? They're like peas in a pod. It's so good.
Like again, like not being able to read the room and that, you know, it's like spouting things out the, you know, you probably are best not shared in public, you know.
The stripper story.
The stripper story, the nicknames.
Oh my god! Pull titties, pull.
Ginger Cool.
Ginger Cool. Oh my god, he's so. I wonder how much of that was just like improv.
That's Tim Meadows. You know, it's like if you've ever watched, you know,
anything
that one, the Dewey Cox story in that Rock Hard. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, yes.
You know exactly what Tim Meadows' humor is like in that. And it's like with him, it's, you know, it's that. I think they did that, but they did an end credit scene with him and that, and Economos in the van talking about, you know, it's like, you know, while you were collecting Pokemons and that, you know, I was getting blown by two women and that. Oh,
what are their names?
Yeah. Like, and he kept up those old-timey names for them, Geraldine and Edith.
And he just kept going. He kept going. There's so much detail to his story. I love it. Oh,
that's another great thing about Gunn is like he has a great eye for talent and casting and that, and he'll go with very interesting choices in that. You know, for like Jonathan Kent this year, played by Pruitt Taylor Vince. You know, it's like everybody. It's like, who the hell's Pruitt Taylor Vince? You know, but like he's been a constant of sci-fi and that for decades. You know, I remember first seeing him like back, I think, very early 90s in one of the classic X-Files episodes on Bruja.
The role for him that sticks out in my mind is of the psychic in Constantine.
Yes.
And he was brilliant in that role. Just brilliant.
Oh my god.
I love that movie. I unabashedly love that movie. And I'm so happy that they're making a sequel to it.
Yes.
Which is going to be, again, James Gunn credits him. He likes doing these otherworld type things. It doesn't have to connect to his universe, but he wants these projects to be made because people like them. Who knew? Give the fans what they like. Yeah. Did we talk about Expedition 33 on mic or off? I think it was off, right? That was before. Give the fans what they want. Like Expedition 33. Make that movie. Do it.
No. The fans want this thing.
No, yeah, we want to. Anyway, where do we go from him? I'm going to talk about Rick Flag last because he had my favorite storyline, just starting in Creature Commandos. What do we think of the Lex Luthor reveal? Like, episode 6 was such a surprise to see him because Rick Flag goes to Belle Reef and they're like, we got to go talk to someone. You're like, who could they talk to? They're not going to bring Nick Holt in this, are they? And then they brought Nick Holt into this to be like Luthor, and it just blows him out. And he's a little bit different than he was in Superman. Like, he's a little bit broken. He's a little more super villainy when you hear him talk. What do you think of the Lex Luthor reveal?
Oh, that one just blew me away. That was what I mentioned earlier in the podcast, and that, you know, it's like how, like, you know, they are unafraid to bring the movies into the TV shows. You know, it's like they don't treat them like this whole other, you know, thing. It's like, oh, that's that medium. You know, we're doing this medium. That's that medium. No, it's like everybody gets a shot at both sides, and it's great to be able to play that out. You know, he's the same Lex Luthor, a little more broken in that, and basically he gets away with a lot more of the language in that, and his descriptions of what he has to see every night when he goes back to his cell.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, he was talking about two definite characters from the DC universe. I just can't think of them right now.
Killer Croc and
Yes.
someone else. I can't remember who the other person was, but it was definitely Killer Croc was one of them.
Yes. The one on top.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was amazing. It's like, I'm so glad like Nick Holt just like said, yeah, I did that, because it's just a great, well filmed little scene, where he just gets to, add more to this new, character, because we're going to be seeing a lot more. He's exactly. Like of Lex Luthor and that, and I'm glad he's investing himself into it.
Mm-hmm. And I like that because Lex is in it, we get to see Otis and that other dude, mm-hmm. the dude with the glasses and the mustache. I can't remember. The mustache. He's a scientist in the comics too.
Yeah.
But I like that they were integral, and you could totally see them integrating themselves into Argus, which is a great way to get Lex Luthor out of prison. Like we saw that Man of Tomorrow, which is the next Superman movie. The teaser images that they sent out was Superman and Lex Luthor in his battle armor. So he's outside of prison, or maybe like he created this armor to get him out of prison. Either way, there are machinations that he's done so that he doesn't end up in prison. And that's so brilliant, especially with Lex Luthor, who is meta human smart. Like it's such a great way to expand this universe and to make it so comic booky, but yet still very filmable and watchable without it being overwhelming. Yeah. Who's gonna think about this other than nerds, right? Who's gonna be like, oh my God, he's pulling the strings and gonna get himself out? Just people like us talk about movies like this. Yeah. So like I said earlier, we get to meet Checkmate and we get to also meet Salvation, two very important things in the comics. So Checkmate was a organization that was made, I feel like in the late 80s and early 90s, sort of as it was sort of billed as a covert ops organization. It was detached from the government, so it was its own thing. Its command structure is very much like chess. There's White Queen, Black Queen. They're both different teams. And Sacha Baron was actually a member of that. Vigilante has been part of Checkmate. So has Peacemaker. Did I say Peacemaker twice? Vigilante. Yeah. Vigilante, Peacemaker, Sacha Baron, they've all been part of this thing. So it's nice to see that they're actually being part of this organization. And this is where I think that James Gunn is going, because he said that this is probably the end of Peacemaker. But I wonder if there's going to be a Checkmate TV series.
It feels like there is. I mean, like, I think there's a whole bunch of talent that's there just waiting for it. And that, I'm glad that they brought like Judo Master back into the fold this season, and kind of almost a little bit of a redemption arc for him. Although I don't think he gives a shit either way. And that's like from just from the.
Do you remember how many times you electrocuted me?
Yeah, I know. Like his summary of the whole, like when he and Adebayo were staked out in that house on Earth X and that, and he's like, I've been reading the history, and then Germany won, and he's like, so basically, this country, you're fine unless you're Buddhist or queer or pretty much anything I am.
Yeah. So well. Oh my God. So what I think about Checkmate is I think that this is going to be like S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU, right? It's just going to be that constant through line. And I could see the 11th Street Kids being like all of the, who was Coulson? Like I could see these people, like they've already showed up in Peacemaker. They've showed up on Suicide Squad. They showed up in Black Adam. Yeah, they're at the end of Black Adam or Shazam.
I believe they were at the end of Black Adam, yes.
Yeah, one of those. I can't remember those. Shazam 2 and Black Adam. Those movies were sort of meh, but they've always sort of been around. Yeah. I like them being like the through line. That's sort of like, because I like seeing Economos. And I like seeing being like the man at the keyboard. Harcourt being that badass agent. And if they're part of Checkmate instead of Argus being the one running around, because we all know Argus is the bad people.
They are very much the bad guys now.
And
You
they've
know,
always
they were
sort of
on the
been,
they were on the precipice. You know, it's like with the whole meeting with the Defense Department, like last, you know, in Superman.
yeah,
They were definitely the, you know, the baddies in that, as far as like, you know, under Waller.
yeah. And Waller's coming back, right? So we know that.
Okay.
Yeah, she has her own TV series that's in the works. So
Oh, that's amazing.
maybe they're up against Checkmate. Oh, the possibilities.
I find that they're probably going to be like, you know, almost like a rivalry, and if not outright, you know, kind of hostility between the two agencies going forward.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. And if
Yeah.
they keep on adding new people to, I think Green Lanterns have been part of Checkmate and stuff. Like I didn't really follow it. It was, but I did catch it a little bit when. Salvation though.
That's it. Yep.
Salvation is
Go ahead.
very interesting. It was introduced in the late 2000s, I believe. I think it's late 2000s, and it was a prison planet that people were throwing not metahumans but villains. That's what the government was doing. They were putting villains there. They ended up breaking the factions. I think it was like a Joker team versus the Lex Luthor team. And what they found out is that it was actually a training ground for parademons. So Darkseid's parademons were training there.
Oh,
So it was sort of the simulation world that was supposed to emulate Earth atmosphere and stuff. But Darkseid was bringing his troops there to train and, you know, so that they could go out and do their thing. So the connections to Darkseid just keep on showing up this season. And Salvation is a very interesting one. And I hope we do see the Chris being the first one is very interesting because we do hear some roars and stuff at the end of the episode. You know,
yeah.
there's obviously indigenous life there, but there were people that were living there too. So I wonder how they're going to move that forward, or if we're going to see what happens. Like I assume that Checkmate's going to try and find them. There's no way they don't think that he got sent there, right? Like I feel like that's just sort of an assumption.
I think they're going to find out. This is what I doubt. You know, this is definitely not the end of Peacemaker and that. You know, who knows? Maybe Gunn's just, you know, kind of misdirecting us.
It might be renamed, right? Like it could be a Checkmate series, right? It could be something like
it could be. Yeah.
Because I think the reason why this is called Peacemaker, because the focus is on Chris so much. But if it's on all of them, maybe a better name would be Checkmate or whatever. Oh God, I'm excited. It makes me so happy.
I am at 3% on my phone here.
Oh no! Do you want to go run and grab a charger?
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Yeah. Let's see.
Na 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 na
na.
Oh no, he's 3%.
I have one.
This one gonna reach?
No, I don't have one.
Oh no.
I know. Let's see. I can probably hold out for another few minutes.
Okay, let's talk about Rick Flag Jr. So,
okay.
I read this thing online, and I'm going to read it to you. In Creature Commandos, Rick Flag Sr. started as a hardened soldier just trying to manage his squad of monsters. He didn't like them, but he believed that they could be useful if they followed orders. By Superman, that cautious respect had turned into a deep mistrust. He saw Superman as both a symbol of hope and a ticking time bomb. Now in Peacemaker Season 2, Flag Sr. has gone completely off the rails. Consumed by grief, revenge, and control, he uses interdimensional tech to banish metahumans to another realm in the name of safety. The man who once fought beside monsters has become one himself. Thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I think that's, you know, I think this is why people were wondering about, like, you know, his motivations this year, because it's still pretty, it's, you know, revenge is, you know, pretty clear motivation, and, you know, it led to basically the downfall of many hero in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there were little inklings in that, in Superman and that, how willing he was to, you know, hand him over to Planet Defense and that, you know, and Lex Luthor and that, to be imprisoned in a multi-dimensional, like, you know, cage. Yeah. I regret not seeing Creature Commandos now, because I think I need...
Now you need to.
I think you really need that to really get the full story on Rick Flag Sr.
Yeah. I mean, you understand the revenge plot, but knowing that he was part of a monster team, and now he's like, you know, not trusting anyone. He really trusted that team by the end of that season. Like it's
right.
it's interesting how the turn, and that's so it's been 3 years of slowly becoming what we becomes in Peacemaker season 2. So it's not like he's a heel turn, just like people on the internet said. There has been an evolution. Things have happened. Events have unfolded in this DCU, and I like that. James Gunn, goddamn, awesome. So let's just end this off with a couple quick fire things. Favorite moment of the season?
Yeah, it's twisted, but it was great seeing Chris in action when he was taking out the terrorists.
I mean, that was a great action sequence. I already said what mine was, and it's this vigilante meeting vigilante. That makes me smile. Smile to no end. Did you have a favorite character this season?
Favorite character this season might be, oh god, Economos for some strange reason in that, because they did focus a lot on him in that, and it's like, it's that interplay between the cowardly and him trying to be brave and loyal to his friends and that. What's his name? Steve Foggy did like a great job this season. He had a lot of material to work with and a lot of great people to play off of. Him and Tim Meadows together. Come on.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with Langston Fleury being my favorite. He was such a good addition to this team, and I can't wait. Although, Red Saint Wild by Michael Rooker, a very good addition. Another what the fuck happened moment.
I love how they made a point of him, being displayed on the teaser images that were originally released for Peacemaker, earlier.
He was in
having a story just become like this big nothing, but still funny as hell.
The ritual that he does was so left field, and I did not expect it, and I loved it.
Nope.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think that would
be he starts out as just basically this dumb cultural appropriation, and then it just
Yeah. Was there a big what the fuck moment for you other than that ego moment?
My big what the fuck moment. Honestly, the twist, we saw that coming for a few episodes back, right? We have some very smart friends in that, and you pointed it out that there's definitely something wrong in this universe and that. I can't remember the exact point in that, but the what the fuck moment for me had to be probably finding out where they got the unfolding chamber.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a fucked up memory.
Yeah,
I think my what the fuck moment is eagerly becoming the alpha eagle amongst everything. That was also unexpected. Or the god eagle, I think is what they called him. Man,
the prime eagle.
The prime eagle. Do you have any predictions for where this is going? That's the last thing.
I know. The thing, it's if there's no season 3 of Peacemaker and that, okay, maybe it transforms itself into Checkmate. Mm-hmm. But they at some point if they pursue this, then the 11th Street kids have got to find a way in that to get a hold of the folding chamber and pull him out of there. What happens to him while he's over there? I kind of have some theories. If there's if not only indigenous life, but actual people living there, how is it? Do you think he becomes the prime there?
He could befriend them, right? We don't know.
He could befriend them, or else he could, basically become some sort of king over there.
That would be hilarious. My prediction. I mean, I obviously want the Checkmate series. But if they don't go that way and we just meet them again in Superman or Man of Tomorrow, I would be totally down with seeing him leading one of the factions. I could see that. It would be cool to see him be a leader there, but a moral one. And especially if they've been shipping villains or metahumans there for a while. I would love to see some of the Justice Gang get Metamorpho maybe get shipped over. The world, the limit is limitless. The limit is limitless. Yeah. There is no limit, and
there's no limit.
There's also Lanterns coming out, so we don't know how they're going to connect to this.
Apparently, Salvation is going to play a part in it too, so we're going to be seeing more.
Creature Commando season 2 is coming out next year, so I assume that's also going to be part of that. Like, I don't see how that could not.
Yeah.
I could also see a Suicide Squad movie coming back, maybe led by Checkmate. Oh my God. Could you?
It's, as you said, there are no limits anymore. It's like, and you got someone who's just like not concerned about building up each movie with star this, role and that. It's like it's just like throwing everything out there and that. Hey, Nathan Fillion, come in and be a Lantern in that. Hey, what's his name?
Guy Gardner.
Gattagy. The guy who played Mr. Terrific, Gattagy, I think his name is.
Oh yeah. From
Ed Gattagy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like come in to be a superhero in this Superman movie and that. He just he puts it all out front first.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. And he's picking from the best. And it's just like I don't know. It makes me excited. As a DC fan growing up, this is what I want.
Yes, these are golden days.
It's their time.
Golden days.
It's their time. It's their time. MCU,
it's their time.
MCU is still like you, but DCU is where I want to go. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I it's funny because on the outline I had this whole gun section, and I think you're gone, but that's okay. So I'm gonna say bye. Thank you guys for listening out there and for talking about Peacemaker season 2. We will see you in a couple weeks. Goodbye. Bye. Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.